here in our weather forecast, we do have some side effects of Ian, which did, of course, make landfall on the coast of Florida yesterday, still impacting the Sunshine State throughout today. Some devastating news coming out of Florida. However, for us, we are tracking some coastal impacts. We have along our barrier islands, so along our beaches, there is minor coastal flooding. That flood advisory is at least through Friday, may linger into the weekend. There's a high rip current risk. We've got higher tides that are running 1 to 2 feet above our normal high tide. Water may be up to the dunes in spots, and that can lead to that minor coastal flooding. And remember, you don't want to drive through the salt water. That gets up under your car, causes resting issues. So try to avoid high tide especially, but even sometimes as the tide is rising, some of those stronger waves can wash up higher on the beach. So we've got high tide in the evening through and overnight through the weekend. So that's the positive news. If you are trying to head to the beach over the weekend, high tide will be at 11:37 p.m. and 12:40 a.m. So just after midnight. Your tide forecast for Port Aransas, Horace Caldwell Pier, that's going to be 11:32 will be your low tide, high tide 8:37 and high tide 10:14. There is going to be again a high rip current risk today and tomorrow and possibly even into Saturday and Sunday. So remember, those rip currents, they tend to happen around either jetties like the Packery Channel or the piers. And some tips to remember: that water washing away from the shore, that is what the rip current is. You may spot it with the break in the waves. As the water comes up on the beach, you can kind of see it carving into the beach as well, and that's a good sign of where that rip current might be. So just remember, don't go into the waves alone. If you get caught in it, don't fight the rip current. Don't try to swim back into it. If you do need to swim, you want to swim parallel to the beach to try to get out of that. As far as Ian goes, it is going to continue to move back into the Atlantic Ocean and then take a curve towards South Carolina with landfall likely as a higher end tropical storm with winds 70 miles per hour there just north of Savannah, Georgia. And that is going to come with rainfall all along the East Coast there across the Florida coast and into Georgia, South Carolina. We're tracking rainfall totals 7 inches or more, but for us in Texas, we are remaining dry. As Ian makes its way into the eastern coastline and into the Carolinas, we're going to get a secondary plume of that drier air heading into the weekend with a weak area of high pressure developing just to our north. But early next week, starting by Sunday, heading into Monday and Tuesday, we do start to notice in their upper levels that we're going to see cloud coverage developing. We're going to get more of our onshore flow returning. But on our Muggy meter, we're still keeping conditions very comfortable. Saturday looks like our day with the lowest dew points. Temperatures in the 90s there through the weekend. So we've got really great weekend weather ahead. Overall, just expect those temperatures to continue to be in the 80s and 90s for highs. Will be around 90 degrees all week long in Corpus Christi. Your lows will be in the 60s. We'll be in the lower 60s by Saturday morning, then warming up into the upper 60s with that cloud coverage coming in next week. Barbie, John Thomas.